Well, it is that time once again to be taking a look at another one of the Doctor Who The Collection Complete Season box sets. This time round I'm going to be taking a look at the second release from the series, which is of course Season 19, featuring the 5th Doctor as played by Peter Davison in his first season as playing the 5th Doctor. Now this is of course following on from Season 18, where we've seen the departure of Tom Baker as the 4th Doctor, and is a rather big and pivotal point in Doctor Who history, considering that we almost have the beginning of 80s Doctor Who. We have the start of John Nathan Turner's vision for Doctor Who in the future, along with an upgraded version of the Cybermen design, a brand new incarnation of the Master, a theme tune that was slowly brought in at the end of Tom Baker's tenure, as well as a much more younger and energetic different Doctor that is nothing like the previous incarnation. Now this box set did originally come out, I do believe, around the back end of 2018, around the end of November into early December. I got this for Christmas and then I had an exam, meaning that I've not had that long to actually watch this box set, meaning that I've just got round to it now, and I managed to lock myself away from the rest of society for about a week and reel off every single episode along with all of the special features on this release. Yeah, I've been certainly on a 5th Doctor binge watch over the past few days, and I must admit it was in fact rather fun. So this product is currently available from a few stores throughout the UK, including HMV, both in store and I do believe online as well. Amazon do also of course have stock. The price of the product does in fact fluctuate. Currently I do believe it is around £30 or £40, something like that. However, if season 12 is anything to go by, of course as soon as that product was sold out, it did become incredibly rare and really pricey on eBay. So if you're a classic Doctor Who fan, I certainly recommend picking this up before it is too late. So unlike the complete Season 12 box set, this set actually includes a lot more stories, starting off with the 5th Doctor's first episode, the post-regeneration story Castrovalva. Then we have Fort Doomsday, Kinder, The Visitation, Black Orchid, Earthshock, and the rather debatable Time Flight to end off the series itself, meaning that there is generally a lot more content on this box set. However, the episodes overall are not as high quality as Season 12, of course that season being one of the most well-known in Doctor Who history. What is really lovely to see is once again Lee Binding is back to present this rather wonderful and beautiful looking design, meaning that it is incredibly consistent with the previously released box set as well as the upcoming Season 18 set. So much like in the Season 12 review, I'm not actually going to be reviewing the episodes themselves on this box set. Instead, for this product review, I'm going to be taking a look at the product itself, showing you what you get for your money, as well as taking an in-depth look at all of the special features that are featured on the Season 19 Blu-ray release. So firstly, taking a look at the packaging, this actually comes packaged in a cling film sleeve, and then as per usual, much like with any other box set or steelbook, we in fact have this trim there around the very bottom along with some informational text on the back. The actual sleeve at the very bottom features a continuation of the design on the very front of the box, including the 13th Doctor logo there at the very bottom in a rather nice white colour, and it does stand out quite a lot, and I know that a few people would most likely prefer the actual 5th Doctor logo from the 1980s. I don't really mind too much. I think that it looks okay on this product and it does actually stand out quite a lot. At the very bottom we have the title of the set, which is the Collection Season 19, along with the details there at the very bottom, including 8 discs and the 12 rating. At both sides of this sleeve you do in fact get exactly the same information, once again including Season 19 in the title, along with the DVD rating at the very bottom. Moving around to the back of the sleeve itself, this is pretty much where all of your standard DVD and Blu-ray information is kept. I do like that this is in fact a separate piece from the box itself, making the actual case look very smart and very minimalist in its design. This does of course include a rather nice looking graphic design of the 5th Doctor and his companions that I will be taking a look at in more detail in a little bit. The standard details that you come to expect to introduce the actual product, along with build your own Doctor Who archive with this ultimate collector's set, the 5th Doctor classic first season with all 26 episodes, newly restored for Blu-ray, packaged with bonus material, and then of course it does go on to list all the 7 episodes there at the very bottom. Just below this, it goes on to list all of the brand new special features in this bubble, which I do highly recommend taking a look at because there's absolutely loads of them, which I once again will be actually exploring a little bit more later on in this review. And then just below this, we do also have a little bit more information about the other special features that were included on the original To Entertain DVD releases. And then to finish off the back of the box, we have starring Peter Davison, Janet Fielding, Sarah Sutton and Matthew Waterhouse. It may have been nice to have a little credit to Anthony Ainley as the master on there as well, considering that he does appear in 2 of the different stories. And then we just have your usual Blu-ray gubbins and details at the very bottom. Of course, the sleeve is a removable section, meaning that once you actually slide out the box set itself, you pretty much have a textless version of the cover, which is once again a really lovely design. It has a lovely selection of colours, and I really like how it's actually reflecting the season of Doctor Who on the inside of the box. Of course, the main focus point of the cover is the 5th Doctor himself, and I do believe that this was most likely taken from one of the photo shoots that was done for the original opening theme tune, where they put the 5th Doctor's face actually within the theme, and he is looking rather thoughtfully at the camera, which is very nice and rather dramatic looking at the same time. I do really like the way that this has been actually applied to the box. It does look very sharp in its detail, and I also love the way that we have these different variations of the 5th Doctor theme tune coming around the side there, including the Starfield, as well as a little bit of a vortex coming around the side as well. Different design when compared to that of season 12, which did in fact use the early version of the 4th Doctor's theme. So I really like how these box sets are actually personal to the Doctor that is featured within the set. Moving further down the front cover, now we of course have the 5th Doctor's costume, which somehow Lee Binding has actually made his costume look rather interesting, considering that within the TV show it was in fact rather bland. Now I do assume that no doubt through the other 5th Doctor releases we'll probably see a slight variation here and there, especially on the different rows of the jumper, but what I really like in particular about this version of the 5th Doctor is of course that he is holding Adric's star as seen in Earthshock, which is a rather pivotal important moment in the series. So in front of the Doctor, in the very centre of the Starfield, we do of course get a rather nice selection of monsters and villains that did of course feature throughout season 19, starting off with a rather big image of an Earthshock Cyberman there, looking very cool in the brand new redesign. Then we of course get Anthony Ainley as the Master, a pterodactyl from the Visitation, and then we have one of the least effective aliens of this series, I think that it is fair to say. We have Monarch from Fort Doomsday. Now I am in fact quite happy with this selection. Of course they have decided to keep off Concorde, thankfully, because let's face it, it's best we just forget Time Flight's existence, and it is also nice that they've decided to keep off the original practical effects version of the Mara as seen on the original broadcast of Kinder, because once again I don't think that would look very effective on the cover. And now doing a comparison to the previously released 4th Doctor Season 12 box set, I think that Lee Binding just has an absolutely wonderful way with art and design. I think that his covers are just so incredibly satisfying. Imagine all of these lined up on a shelf of all the different incarnations of the Doctor. It would just look absolutely brilliant. I love the fact that the costumes are also dependent on what season that the box set is actually featured around. The fact that we have a selection of monsters on the very front there as well. And basically you cannot fault the design, or at least I can't. I think that it looks absolutely stunning. It is also to note that the complete Season 12 box set is in fact a little bit wider compared to that of Season 12, simply because the volume of stories is in fact 2 episodes higher in the Season 12 box set, having 7 episodes, and then of course Season 12 only having 5. Moving around to the side of the complete season box set, we of course have the Blu-ray logo there at the very top, along with a smaller version of the cover, along with Doctor Who The Collection, and then Season 19 of course printed there at the very bottom along the BBC logo, and then the same is pretty much present on every other side of this release except the base of the box, which is just a standard grey. The back of the box is in fact a little bit more of a simpler design compared to that of the front, but is once again consistent to the previous seasons released in this series. We do have a rather lovely looking TARDIS exterior model, which is of course floating around in the 5th Doctor vortex, with a few additions of the rather eye-catching Starfield there in the bottom as well. The TARDIS exterior prop does look really visually stunning. So now taking a look on the inside of the box itself, of course this is made of cardboard, so do be careful, although I have heard the most part the issues have came from the actual delivery, getting little scuffs and things around the side, so if anything I do recommend picking this product up in store to avoid that. So on the inside of the box, after opening it, it is very easy to in fact open, there isn't any magnets or anything like that. However, we do have at one side the TARDIS exterior, and then at the opposite side all of the discs featured on this season all piled up in some plastic trays. Of course the TARDIS exterior box on the left hand side has been really nicely recreated. We have lots of different gradients of blue on there to make it look very realistic to the actual prop. I do really like the way that the signage and the windows actually stands out as well. We do have a little bit of the Vortex and Starfield coming along the side, along with the Fifth Doctor there in his rather unusual looking helmet as seen in 4 to Doomsday at the very ending of that story in part 4 when he actually goes out into space to try and retrieve the TARDIS. So that is a rather nice little reference there to one of the episodes featured on this release. And that isn't in fact it for this side of the box, rather excitingly. It's not that exciting, it's just that I'm quite sad. But this does in fact open up. There is a little Velcro tab there at the very middle of the box, and this opens up to actually reveal once again the inside insert of this rather lovely graphic design of the Doctor along with his other companions. And then this opens up further to reveal a booklet along with the actual TARDIS exterior itself that was seen throughout this season, which I do believe is also the same model that was actually used on the menu sequences that are featured on all 8 of the discs throughout this release, which is once again really smart, and I really do love this choice in design. Now, one of the main reoccurring issues with the Season 19 and Season 12 box sets is the inclusion of the disc trays on the inside of the box and the way that you actually navigate between the different discs on this release. Now, from what I can recall from my memory, I didn't in fact mention this in the previous review, simply because my product was absolutely fine, which is one of the main issues. It is incredibly hit and miss. Some people's box sets will be absolutely perfect, and others will be a little bit off, and I do think the fact that this box set includes a higher volume of discs may be one of the reasons why there is a few more problems on this release compared to the previous one, and that is the fact that when you actually try to move the discs themselves, you can't push your finger down the side of the tray in order to actually flip it to get to the next release. So instead, a lot of people in fact decide to grip the disc themselves and then actually pull the discs, and that is the way that you actually get to the discs underneath. Equally, if you want to get to one of the discs at the very bottom, you actually tip the whole box set upside down and then go from that way onwards. How reasons that I've realised with my box set there is in fact a main issue is that if I remove the bonus disc at the very back that does of course reveal the Fifth Doctor's face along with the Vortex once again from the opening theme tune, my actual tray has been glued in. However, from what I can actually see, it seems that it has been glued, but this is actually slipped before it has had the opportunity to dry, meaning that the whole tray itself is almost on a little bit of an angle, which is a little bit of a shame. It's not too much of a problem, and to be honest, by the way that this is going, I actually imagine that this will probably come away entirely eventually, meaning that I will probably need to glue it back in, which for the recommended retail of around £40 to £50, I do certainly not expect problems like this to in fact occur. So on the later releases in this series, I do certainly want to see a higher quality control to ensure that this doesn't happen, especially on the box sets that have a lot more discs. So now taking a look at the insert booklet, now this is a really nice and helpful inclusion because if you are looking for a specific piece of special features or bonus material, this basically tells you exactly where it is, what disc it is located on, and I think that generally it is a really nice guide to this series itself. It starts off with this really lovely cover of the Fifth Doctor actually crawling out of the TARDIS, which once again has been really nicely CGI made along the companions around the side and Anthony Ainley as the Master there at the very top, and then we also have a few shards of glass around the side. Tegan is in fact possessed by the Mara, which is a very cool little touch, and then we do also have some rather nice colours of the Vortex in there as well. Really lovely, considering that this is 80s Doctor Who, it does in fact look like modern 21st century sci-fi, which is really cool. I could actually imagine this being an advertisement for, say, if season 19 was airing in 21st century media on Netflix or something like that. It's quite a cool representation of the series. The first double page spread of the booklet is Doctor Who Regenerated, Welcome to Season 19, which is a really nice introduction to the series overall, as well as explaining the state of Doctor Who in this current time of history, featuring the departure of Tom Baker, and almost moving on to that brand new era, and Doctor Who now moving to weekday air dates as opposed to weekends on Saturday nights. This is also accompanied by a rather lovely black and white image of the Fifth Doctor, which was no doubt taken from one of Peter Davison's earlier promotional shoots for the season. The rest of the pages in the booklet are completely dedicated to each individual story and pretty much follow exactly the same format. Just under the title of the episode itself, it does also list some basic information, including how many parts the episode is, the story code, the broadcast dates, who it is written by, produced by, as well as directed by, which is once again rather helpful for those Doctor Who fans like me who like to know these things. At one side you get a list of all the special features that are included on the disc, along with a little bit of a description about them, along with a few rather nice images at the very top there to kind of provide context as to what the actual story looks like, along with the development, recording, and the reception and after image on the opposite side. Once again, this is exactly the same layout for the second episode of the box set, being Fort Doomsday, following on to the third story, which is of course Kinder, as well as the Visitation, supported with some rather nice illustrations and other images, Black Orchid, the departure of Adric in Earthshock, and of course finishing off the season with Time Flight. Lovely, lovely Time Flight. To split up and accompany the large amounts of text on each individual page, there is also some rather nice graphic illustrations of the different episodes featured throughout Season 19, including the Doctor and the different varied enemies as seen throughout the season, including Tegan being possessed by the Mara with some rather eerie looking designs of an eye lurking in the background, Nessa and the rather dazzling looking robot from the Visitation, the Harlequin clown costume as seen throughout Black Orchid, the Cyberman being frozen in the door as seen throughout Earthshock with the Fifth Doctor wielding a gun, and the Fifth Doctor and Khalid as seen in the series finale, Time Flight. At the very bottom of the back page we do also get a rather nice list of credits for all the rather talented people that did work on this release, including behind the scenes material, the actual restoration, as well as the CGI and design of the illustrations. And just to make the coverage of the booklet complete, we do also have a little guide to the bonus material that is included on the final disc of this box set. To ensure that all of the disc art is consistent, we do have a little bit of a redesign from the previous releases, including Castrovalva with the Fifth Doctor and the TARDIS walls in the background, Fort Doomsday with Adric and Nessa with the ship there from the actual story, Kinder with the blind woman and the Mara lurking in the background, we have the Visitation with the rather dazzling jewelled android grabbing Tegan while she is being possessed once again, and then we have Black Orchid with the two different versions of Sarah Sutton's character along with the Black Orchid in the background itself, Adric and a Earthshock Cyberman with a rather nice design coming from that, and then we have Time Flight with Khalid and his rather unusual foam-looking creatures. I can't remember what they are called in the actual story, and then we finish off with the bonus disc, which once again includes a rather nice-looking TARDIS exterior model. All of these discs do of course include the Fifth Doctor Vortex running around the side, making them all really nice and uniform. Exploring the special features of Season 19, this is a combination of content as also used on the original To Entertain DVD releases, with additional material added or filmed especially for the complete season release. Much like Season 12, all the discs feature a great graphic of the relevant TARDIS console room from that era, the select menus are clearly printed at the bottom and the disc title at the top. A really smart design which I hope continues on the future season box sets. All 7 episodes include audio commentaries from select members of the cast, as well as additional informational text, PDF material, BBC continuity announcements which are fun for people who like watching Earth rotating on a blue screen above a BBC font. Castrovalva, Kinder and Earthshock all have the option to view with updated modern special effects. This is a great alternative viewing, especially in the case of Kinder, which has updated visuals for the effects of the Mara snake creature, as well as the Zero Room CGI as seen on Castrovalva. Also to note that Time Flight does not include updated special effects, which may shock some people, but quite frankly, even 21st century technology cannot save that story. All 7 episodes include the brand new complete season box set series Behind the Sofa in a rather Gogglebox style format, with Peter Davison, Sarah Sutton, Janet Fielding, Matthew Waterhouse, Sophie Aldred and Mark Strickson. This is a really fun inclusion showing the reactions and experiences from the making of the episodes. This is one of my personal favourite features on the complete season box sets. Taking a look at the Castrovalva disc, this disc includes a discussion with Peter Davison entitled Becoming Doctor Who that covers his casting in the role. Directing Castrovalva with Fiona Cumming provides an insight into the choices in location for the story and how it looked visually. TV recordings are Peter Davison's appearances on 1982's BBC TV shows including Blue Peter, Saturday Night at the Mill, Swap Shop and a few others to promote the upcoming season are also featured. The Crowded TARDIS is a documentary into the new TARDIS team, which is an interesting watch to see what the aims of the 3 characters were at the time of production. Also included are clean versions of the new 5th Doctor theme tune, studio footage, deleted scenes and photo galleries. And to finish off, there is the Making of Castrovalva documentary, which has been updated for the 2018 release. This features the cast revisiting the set and interviews with the production team, which is a great watch. 4 to Doomsday has considerably less special features than Castrovalva, which once again includes studio footage, photo galleries, and the Behind the Sofa series, and the Making of 4 to Doomsday documentary, which provides a nice insight to the episode. Kinder includes great special visual effects comparisons to the original and updated version of the Mara snake creature, deleted and extended sequences which I must admit aren't really too exciting but are still nice to see included, a documentary into Peter Grimwade who directed Kinder and Earthshock, which is actually a rather interesting piece, and to finish off the Making of documentary for Kinder, which is just as in-depth as all of the others. The Visitation includes film trims and studio footage, which is quite small, yet an interesting glimpse into what it was like to work on the studio floor during 1980s Doctor Who. An interview with Eric Saywood, who wrote the story, as well as a documentary looking at Peter Moffat's directing, working on the show throughout the years. Also included is a small piece with Paddy Kingsland and Mark Ayres discussing the score for The Visitation. And finally, there is the Making of documentary in a very similar style to Castrovalva, where Mark Strickson takes the cast back to take a look at the location today for the story, and talk about memories from the production of the episode. Similar content is produced for the Black Orchid disc, a making of documentary, deleted scenes, a Blue Peter segment on the costume creations for the episode, now and then on location, points of view showing the audience's reaction to the change in airing slots from a Saturday to weekdays, and finally an extended version of episode 1 with the deleted sequences added back in. For fans of restoration, there is also a comparison as to how they recoloured the story and restored it for the location footage for the 2008 DVD release. As for Earthshock, there is a making of documentary covering the return of the Cybermen from their previous story, Revenge of the Cybermen in the 1970s, discussing Eric Saywood's aims for the story itself, location footage from episode 1, studio footage showing the outtakes, which are once again rather funny, mainly down to David Banks, who played the Cyber Leader, Putting the Shock into Earthshock, discussing the episode's impact on the audience, which is a rather interesting piece about audience reception. The Boy with the Golden Star, a segment dedicated to Adric's character, and there is also further TV appearances from Peter Davison and a claymation short about Adric getting eaten by a dinosaur, which, let's face it, who wouldn't want to watch that? The special features for Time Flight include a retcon drug so you can wipe the story's existence from your memory. Or at least, I really wish it did. The disc features an interview with Peter Grimwade, Behind the Sofa, which is naturally very entertaining, studio footage, outtakes, extended scenes, and the making of segment. The final disc is completely dedicated to further additional special features, an interview with Peter Davison conducted by Matthew Sweet for 2018 in the same style of the Season 12 4th Doctor Tom Baker interview, which once again I did thoroughly enjoy. The Season 19 trailer that can also be viewed on the official Doctor Who YouTube channel, Time Crash from Children in Need 2008 featuring David Tennant as the 10th Doctor, which is in fact a great inclusion as I am pretty sure it was left off the new series releases. It certainly wasn't on my Series 3 Steelbook that I purchased a few months back. And to finish off, there is Studio Clocks Take 2 and convention footage from the Panopticon archives, as well as the original DVD and box set trailers. So overall, for the Doctor Who Complete Season 19 Limited Edition Blu-ray box set, it is once again a really impressive addition to the Blu-ray series. Although the season itself isn't as great as Season 12, this set still does offer some fun adventures, in particular the Visitation and Earthshock. The quality of the physical product itself is stunning, and the artwork by Lee Binding is beautiful, eye-catching, and represents the new era very well. I also love the consistency between this release, Season 12, along with the upcoming Season 18 set. The only main issues for the physical box is that it is made of cardboard, so it may not be as secure as some may hope. Not having a plastic sleeve or additional cover, it's certainly something for older collectors. The discs themselves are nicely stored inside, however it can be hard to flip between the different disc trays, which I know is something that does vary between the different products, and the fact that mine wasn't glued in correctly is slightly annoying for the price paid. I do expect a little bit better. The special features themselves are great, especially for me who grew up with DVD files, having not seen pretty much all the special features, new or old. They provide a great context into the creation of the stories, as well as interviews with cast members. The 2018 new added special features are in particular standout, especially the Behind the Sofa feature, which continues to be one of my favourites included, along with the 1-hour interview with Peter Davison as conducted by Matthew Sweet, which is once again a really nice way to learn more about Peter Davison and not just the 5th Doctor himself. The updated effects on Castrovalva, Kinder and Earthshock are a welcome addition. I'm aware that some people prefer to watch the episodes as they were originally broadcast, but it doesn't really bother me too much, and certainly aids viewing in particular cases, such as the Mara snake creature from Kinder. I really hope that the high quality of the complete season box sets continue for the later releases. However, I hope that they fix the reoccurring issues on both the releases so far. Watching classic Doctor Who in chronological season order is surprisingly quite effective, and something that I wouldn't have never considered prior to these releases coming out, offering a new experience to watch the older episodes of Doctor Who. The complete Season 19 collection will be a great addition to your collection, especially if you've bought the Season 12 release already. It's a great collector's item, and in my opinion, at the price, considering how packed it is with additional features, it is certainly worth it. If you got the original DVD versions, you are essentially paying for the new added features, as well as the rather pretty looking box, which if you are a collector, it is once again most likely worth it and does save on shelf space. If this box set goes the same way as Season 12, I highly recommend buying this one before it sells out completely. So far it has sold slower than Tom Baker's first season, but no doubt it will sell out at some point, so I certainly recommend buying it whilst you still can. I hope you have enjoyed this review. If you have any questions about the complete Season 19 Blu-ray box set, then please do leave them in the description below, and I will reply to them at some point in the near future. And I guess I will see you all in more Doctor Who content at some point in the near future. Thanks again for watching, and I shall see you all next time. Bye for now.